Hello everyone, this is Broyar and welcome to a very special Let's Play series. We're going to be playing through some of Farming Simulator 19. I've been actually looking forward to playing a little bit of this for a while. I actually bought 17 a few months back, played around with it. I think I got it when it was on sale or something like that. But I knew that 19 was coming out here, towards the end of the year, so I decided to hold off on doing a Let's Play series until 19 released. And so here we are. And it released a few days ago. And the reason I say this is a very special Let's Play series for me is that this kind of Let's Play has a little bit of, I guess, sentimental feelings or value to me. I actually this year has been kind of a rough year for me in a sense. That I actually both my grandfathers passed away this year. One of them earlier this year, and the other one actually just a few weeks ago. So it's been a rough year for that side of things. But one of the things I remember most about both my grandfathers is that they were both farmers. One of them definitely did a lot of the tractor farming, with cotton and I think soybeans a lot. I'm sure there was other crops as well, but those are the two that I remember the most. He always had like some big old red combine or, some other, John Deere tractor or something like that, kind of running around doing whatever. And, he used to let me ride around with him in the tractors a few times here and there. So it was always a fun time. And then my other grandfather, he did a little bit more of the cattle and maybe horses and some other farming of kind of things like that. Maybe a little bit of like just a vegetable garden type, like vegetable small fields or something like that. Not big enough for like a big tractor, but maybe a small, like little tiny tractor that he would run around grow different vegetables, but mostly like a lot of the cattle and stuff like that. So it's something I remember about both of them, and so I figured I would kind of do kind of a tribute Let's Play. And play a little bit of this farming simulator and just kind of understand a little bit more about the life that they went through. Obviously this isn't like 100% realistic, but it's a pretty good game. So I've been playing quite a bit, but we're gonna go ahead and jump in here. Speaking of playing quite a bit, you can see I've actually got about 10 hours played over the last couple days, trying to kind of get a feel for the game and really understand, kind of the things that I need to buy for each field and stuff like that. And there's a lot that goes into just getting some wheat to the from being a field of dirt to actually getting wheat to grow up and actually taking it to market and selling and stuff like that. So a lot of different tools and things like that, and I wanted to kind of play around with those a little bit. But we're going to start a brand new game, and I'm going to do the start from scratch start. It is the hardest start, but hey, that's kind of what I enjoy the most. It's just the harder start. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. We have Ravenport, which is kind of more of a, as you can see, the United States, the American flag there. Kind of more of a U.S. map. Fellsbrunn is maybe England, Scotland. I think Scotland, right? Or something like that. Anyway, somewhere in Europe. And then we have Estancia Lapacho, which is in South America. This is actually, I'm guessing this is a carryover from the FS17 or something like that. I'm not sure. I think this was a DLC map, though. Or like an extra mod map or something like that. But I think we're going to play on the American Ravenport map. It's a little bit different than what my grandfather farmed up in. He farmed in a lot flatter area than this has. I mean, there's some flat places for the fields themselves, but definitely not many hills around, where he was at. A lot flatter terrain. So go ahead and jump in here. Let's see here. Anything we're going to change here? I think, honestly, the character is probably about as good as it's going to get. We will go ahead and play with our character named Broyar. Sounds good. And let's go ahead and jump in here. I do have a lot of DLC, like little mods that they've released. This is from the software, the main software guys, Giants themselves. So these are official, I guess, mods, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these all on because I figured they might add a little bit more variety, stuff like that. Especially, I'm hoping this trailer right here. There's limited flatbed trailers in the game, so hopefully this will help a little bit. We also have this Mahindra, which is part of the pre-order. It's a little truck you can get around with. I say truck, more of like a four-wheeler almost kind of thing. Side by side, if you will. A couple extra tractors of different, sizes and varieties. A couple case, there's another case combine here. We'll see how expensive or cheap that is. And there's a couple other things. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and leave all those selected, and let's go ahead and jump in here. Ravenport, here we come. Now the thing with Ravenport, especially on the hard mode, the starting from scratch, is you start with about $500,000, and that's it. You have none of the tractors or anything like that. You have nothing. Nothing but the money to your name. You don't even have a land yet. You have to actually buy your name land. In fact, here it says you have only enough money to start a small farm. First, buy some land, buildings, and necessary tools. and sell your products and expand your farm. We're not going to worry about buildings anytime soon. We are just going to start with a little bit of land and see what we can do. Let's see here. If we, I'm trying to use the controller, but there's some parts of the controller that I don't remember. So I will probably use the mouse and keyboard a little bit, especially to navigate through some of these windows here and there. But here's the map that we're on. So obviously you can see a lot of really big farms. And look at this big one right here. Number 8 here in the middle. I mean, all of these are just massive right here in the middle. 4 or 5, all of these. You've got a few smaller ones up here at the top. Some other small ones. The ones down here where we're at are tiny. Absolutely tiny compared to everything else. But there are 3 of them. And the way we buy land, so we'll come over here, the little X key or, whatever, that little lands button. And we can go through and see all the different parcels of land. Each one's kind of divided into different spots. I mean, there's even land without fields on them. But, that's okay because there is the possibility to kind of create your own fields and things like that, or expand your own fields, or trim some of these back, or split some of these up. Like this number 8 right here. I mean, we don't have enough money to buy it, but if we did, we could divide this up. If we wanted to, we could divide this up in a bunch of different fields, things like that. So there are options in the game. For example, this one right here, to start off with, we may run these as separate. If we grab this one, we may run these as separate, but at some point, who knows, maybe we want to combine 24, 25 into one big field to get a little bit more value from it or something like that. This is kind of where it starts us. You see these little outlines for buildings, stuff like that. If you actually play with the one of the beginner modes, I think it already has a lot of these buildings in place. So these are just kind of some ghost images of what those would look like. So obviously we don't have any of those buildings. Now the one, I mean, it's a good little plot of land, don't get me wrong. It's kind of expensive. It's spending most of our balance. So in some sense, it might be better to start with one of the other ones. But I like the idea of having, a couple different farms just to mess around with. Just a couple different little plots of land. Plus, we're already kind of out here on our little spot. And we could get something a little bit closer to town if we wanted. This 14 is, I've actually used this one, done this one on contracts. It's actually a really annoying field to run. Honestly, if I was to ever buy plot 14, what I would most likely do is get rid of the field and put some sort of animal stuff there. Because the field itself is just absolutely annoying to kind of deal with all those angles and stuff. Here's the shop. So we definitely want to be near the shop. We got all the different places to drop stuff off at. I mean, the restaurant actually buys a lot of stuff as well. The train tracks, you can see, if you can kind of back up, kind of goes around here in the middle, which, that's, it is what it is. Actually, I want to make sure, make sure switch to trains is off for now. If we ever decide to use it, we'll swap back the trains, but for now, I don't like swapping to it when I'm trying to tab through all my tractors and things. I think, even though it's going to cost us a lot, I'm kind of really leaning towards buying this out here. I like the idea of a couple fields. One thing I want to check real quick. Not there. Fruit types. So we have cotton. We have canola, right? Yes, canola. And sunflowers, right? Yes. So we have cotton, sunflowers, and canola. Now, the problem with the canola, all 3 of these have completely different types of equipment to harvest them. So, and the cotton specifically is very expensive. It has to have a very special type of equipment. The good thing about the sunflowers and the canola is we can use the same combine, harvester, I should say, but different heads on them. So a little bit cheaper to do both of those if I wanted to go that route. Although in the long term, we probably will end up with some sort of setup that all 3 of these use the same type of heads. I mean, we could buy this plot of land and take a little bit of loan if we need some more money for something. I've kind of done a practice run of this, so I kind of know that I have enough money to at least get things going, especially if I do a lot of leasing of equipment. But again, these are pretty small plots of land. There's not going to be a lot of money here. There's a possibility, obviously, of putting some sort of animals down, trying to get some more money from those. Actually, you know what? Let's come over here. Let's come in here and let's just move around here and let's go look at kind of the land and what we're at. I mean, obviously this hill here, it's gonna, if you want to go up that way, you have to have a more powerful tractor to be able to pull up that way. But that's not something we have to worry about too much. I mean, most of the smaller tractors I've seen have been able to do what they need to do. I mean, we could put some sort of like animal area kind of here in the middle if we wanted to go that route, some sort of chickens or something. One good thing about this farm is that at some point we can get enough money to buy plot number 19 up here, which plot number 19 is almost half the price. Could start with 19. It's an interesting idea. And if we really wanted to grow more than one crop, we could obviously still split that one as well. What does it currently got on it? Potatoes? does have potatoes on it. Really? Does it have actual potatoes growing on it? Or is it just, like, is it seeded? Yeah, the potatoes are growing, which potatoes also need their own type of stuff, equipment. So all of these things out here need their own equipment. I mean, I could buy one of these closer ones, to, you know, closer to town ones. It's always an option. Like 21 here or 18 wouldn't be too bad. 21, what does 21 have on it? 21 has a wheat. Wheat would be pretty easy to harvest. Not very lucrative, if you will, but I don't know. I wonder if we could put, there's an option to put some animals around here somewhere. Maybe 18 would be better. Maybe there's a spot for animals up here. If we cleared out, we'd have to clear out the trees though, probably. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards this start. I know this start pretty well. I've done a little bit of it. Doesn't make a lot of money, but that's where some of the contracts and stuff like that come in. Once we get our own little machines and stuff like that, we can do some of the contracts for a little bit more money. So, okay, let's do it. We're gonna go with the start. I think it's gonna be a little more exciting to have a couple different plots of land, a little bit of variety, if you will, and go from there. So yeah, we have some land. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slow down the game for just a second because I kind of want to halt any growing until I figure out what we want to do real quick. Obviously, both of these are almost ready to harvest. And this one is still in the early stages, which is fine. Well, actually, it's not too late to go ahead and fertilize this if we wanted to go that route. So, speaking of fertilizing, let's go here. Let's go into this menu and look at some of the technology that we're going to need. Now, I've heard that buying tractors and leasing equipment is probably the most cost-effective way to do things. Mostly because the tractors, the way leasing works, let's go ahead and just jump in here and just look at one real quick. The way leasing works is that there's a base cost, there's a per operating hour, and there's a per day. So the per day you'll pay at the end of every day, probably at midnight, there's a per day cost for everything. No big deal. Plus the base cost obviously comes out up front. The per operating hour is for every in-game hour that you've run this piece of equipment, it takes that much money. And obviously this is the biggest chunk of money right here. So because I'm kind of doing a combo of mouse and controller here, because like things like plows and things like that, yeah, sure, it's still a big chunk, but for any given field, you're only going to use this for a very small portion of it, and then you can switch over, use something else, you switch over, use something else. So there's several different tools you'll use, but you're using the same tractor for all of that. So the tractor is going to get to that per operating hour a lot quicker than the tools are. So leasing the tools is usually the best way to go. Now, obviously, buying the tractor is one of the most expensive parts here. Now, as far as the tractor types, the thing with the tractor types is, I mean, I know some of these are American, some of these are European, and some of these are South American. So there's all sorts of different tractors and stuff like that. I'm not going to go bother looking up probably each one and figure out which ones are actually American tractors. I'm just going to buy, you know, what looks good probably, more often than not. And we'll just kind of go with that. We'll just, you know, assume that there's a way to get some of these tractors to the United States. just leave it at that. Because I don't know. I don't really have a list of American tractors. Unless I could find one real quick. Because, you know, if I'm in America, it would be kind of nice to... let's see. Farming Simulator Tractor List. List of tractors. Where's Farming Simulator 17? Yeah, but these aren't going to tell me, like, where these are from, because I don't know enough about tractors or stuff like that. Unfortunately, I did not pay enough attention to my grandfather's, you know, things that he did on any given day to understand really what the differences are here and where these come from. And again, it's not that big of a deal. That's more of a kind of a, you know, RPG kind of element, if you will. Tractor country, I don't know. Brands by country and region. Yeah, I don't know. None of these are... Obviously, I know John Deere is American, so that's about as far as I can go with that. And I'm sure you can get John Deere in other places as well, so it's kind of one of those... it's not that big of a deal. We're going to go jump in on. Well, it's fine. We'll just buy whatever tractor looks good. So, for example, I have been running on my other test map this Fendt, and the reason I've been running that is it's the cheapest one that also has a front loader attachment. So it makes a really good first tractor. because that way we can, you know, do some front loading and stuff like that. Now, the one thing I do need to look at, let's see here, it's coming here. Let's see. Engine setup. How do I, oh, there we go. Because I may want to make it as powerful as I can possibly get. Spend a little bit more money. It's a lot more money, goodness. But just make sure it is the most powerful it can be so it can do everything that we need for quite some time. So that's an option. I don't think I want to change anything with the wheels. Sorry, I'm trying to get used to the controller here. We got narrow tires, we got big fat tires. You know, all of those are pretty cool and stuff, but Trelleborg, Nokian. I mean, obviously, I think the Trelleborg, those big old knobby tires look the best. Yeah, I mean, this is going to use up most of our money. And we're going to have to take a loan. I think it's just a simple fact of the matter, especially if we're going to buy the tractor and lease the equipment. What was the difference between the wide tires? Is it, yeah, I guess it's a bit wider, but I don't know if I need to spend the extra couple $1,000s. One good thing I would say, though, you know what? If we buy the tractor, I know we can do some modifications to it. I don't know if the engine setup is one of those. So I may just buy it with a lower engine for now. I do want the front loader attachment, just so I have that option. And I think we're just going to go ahead and go with this. No color changes here or anything like that. We'll just go with a big old green tractor. I think it'll be fine. You know, $77,500. Not too bad with the front loader. Actually, you know, one thing I probably do need to check is to make sure that the equipment that I want to buy is in fact, what am I trying to do? There we go. Is in fact able to be pulled by that. Like we might need certain equipment that needs certain things. So let's go over here to fertilizer technology, maybe. Now, this one's added in as a mod. This one is really cheap. Wow. That one's really cheap. I like that one a lot. Now, the one good thing about these here in the middle, I mean, they're way bigger, obviously, but they can also do the lime, which is that second symbol you see there. So those are obviously an option. Man, this is a cheap one. Doesn't hold a lot. Only holds 700. But the fertilizer goes a long ways, is one thing I have noticed. Is this one that you could attach with other things? Let's see. Spin it around. I can't tell. I don't think so. I think this one just kind of goes on the back of the tractor. Kind of similar to this one. Just kind of tacks onto the back. Or maybe the back of a piece of equipment. I think you could do it to the back of some equipment. SB1000. Like this one, for example, says it hooks to the SB1000. Which I believe is the cedar, maybe? No. Oh, no, would it be? I don't think it'd be a cedar. It'd be where is it? No, I don't think it's a planter, is it? Because I know some of these things you can do all at once. Probably. So that's subsoiler. Well, these are all cultivators, which, you know, these all do kind of similar things. There's a lot of similarities in a lot of these and what kind of ultimately what they do. There's cultivators right there. That's actually what I was looking for. Yeah, I don't see the SB1000. Which was an easier way to search. SB700. Yeah, I don't know what those hook to. I mean, obviously, I don't know if we're going to go quite as big as some of these other things. We'll piece together what we can as we go. This one can obviously do fertilizer as well. I mean, a lot of these can do fertilizer and seed at the same time. Right now, we just need fertilizer. We need to fertilize that field so we can get the most out of that sunflower field. So, I'm kind of thinking about taking this modded thing. Just cheap, easy. These both have 12-meter widths. Again, the thing I like the most about these is they can do the lime as well, but at the end of the day, $4,000 is not that bad. It's only a $320 cost right there. Fill it up with a little bit of fertilizer. Good to go. You know what? We're going to go ahead and lease this one. And doesn't need any sort of horsepower restrictions. No. So our other tractor that we were thinking about buying would be able to do this just fine. So we're going to start off with fertilizing. Small tractor. Go with our fence. Going to go with the Trelleborg. Trying to remember the controls here. Standard wheel setup. We'll go with the regular side thing, and we'll go ahead and bump up to the front loader. which, again, we could always add later, but I'm going to be happy to have it. And I am going to purchase this one. It's going to take a big chunk of money out of our stuff, but hey, we're ready to go. So, how do we... Aha. That works. Actually, one thing I'm going to do real quick. Start the engine. X. Oh, I need a weight. We do need a weight because almost always need a weight for a lot of these particular things. Let's go here. I don't know how to get to the sail screen from the controller. Weights. Just gonna get a basic weight. This one right here, I think you have to fill up with water, I'm assuming. It's got a capacity, so I don't exactly know what that one does. Let's go with this one. Oh, look, we can change the color. I mean, I like to make things blue, but I think the black just looks better. It's cheaper. Do we want to lease this or do we want to buy this? You know, this is going to be attached to our tractor a lot. So I think buying this is probably the most logical because we're going to run up those hours on this one as well. And that's fine. It'll just attach to our tractor. All right, Mr. Tractor. Why are you not moving? Oh, because I'm using my controllers. Again, I'm having to get used to the controllers. I had been using the keyboard, which is great, don't get me wrong, but controllers is a little bit better. Actually, before I hook this thing up, I'm going to run over here to the modification thing and see if we can actually mod this thing up to have a more powerful engine later. If not, no big deal. We'll just sell this back later when the time comes. But I would kind of like to know. All right, how do I get out of you? I actually don't know how to get out of you. All right, whatever. We'll use the keyboard for that. The E key gets us out. Customize. So I can do the water tires, and I can upgrade the thing. So yeah, I basically just pay the difference. Okay, that works. No, that's good. X, enter vehicle. I wonder if that's X to get out. Yes, perfect. Now we know. All right, let's go get our fertilizer, and we will have to buy some actual fertilizer. One good thing about this tractor compared to some of the other cheaper ones, not only does it have the front loader, but it also goes quite a bit faster. All right, go over here. Forgive my inability to do backing up and all that stuff just right. Apparently that's close enough. We'll take it. I'm going to scooch up a little bit just because it's going to drop the fertilizer right there in that spot. And I wonder if I could figure out... How do I... Okay, that changed the camera. Okay, that does that. Okay, that's that at least. But it does not tell me what the... Let's go see if we can figure out what the... Open up the cell pages. Store. Gamepad. Store. Back. Back. Do I have a back button on that thing? I don't know if I have a back button on here. Let's go ahead and let's go escape. Okay. What is back? Back is B? That's not what I want. Oh, I actually hired a worker. Okay, well, they didn't do anything. Whatever. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way. I mean, I can run over to the thing from here, but there's a reason why the mouse is in the game. All right, let's get some fertilizer. For now, we're just going to use the solid fertilizer. I mean, it's expensive, but it will get the job done. At some point, we'll have enough animals to be able to do it. Okay, grab you. And if we back up and left button to refill some fertilizer. Now, this will not fill up all of it. We'll not use up all the bag, I should say. But it will give us plenty of fertilizer for now. And let's go ahead and go out to our farm. We are still playing on 1 speed just because, again, I wanted to make sure that like no more growth happened until we got the fertilizer down. But once we get like all the things done, we can speed up the game a little bit, let some of the growth and other maturity type things of our fields and our crops happen a little bit quicker. It's a nice sunny day here. 9:16 in the morning. It's kind of a late day to get started as a farmer, right? Don't you start at like 6:30 in the morning? Definitely a lot easier to control with the Xbox controller I'm using right now compared to the keyboard. And the keyboard's great, don't get me wrong, as I try to take out a sign there. No, the keyboard's great, but this one has just a little bit more of a fine-tuned control. "32 miles an hour. Speed limit's 35. Take this little shortcut over to our farm. All this land between this dirt road and the kind of the paved road above us, north of us, is ours. So kind of like right on the border of our land. This little house right here, or whatever you're going to call that little shack, it is technically not ours. Neither is there one that's straight up ahead here, which I don't know if we'll be able to see from here. There's one up the end of the road there. That is not ours either. A couple things that we're probably going to plan to do is we will probably go ahead and buy or release the header that we need for the sunflowers as well as the canola here to our left. But for the cotton over there by the flag, if you will, we're probably just going to plow that under. Again, it's just not worth it. Good thing about these manure spreaders or these fertilizer spreaders, I should say, is they do have a pretty big range, probably even bigger than this, quite frankly. We are still in, let me double check. We are still in the early growing stages, correct? Yes. Actually, it looks like it might have bumped up to stage... I think this is stage 0, technically, like as you planted it. This is stage 1, 2, and 3. I think as long as it's still within stage 1, it's not gotten to 2 or 3, we can't kill the crops. You know what? We're going to do a quick test. And obviously, if we had more narrow tires, we could also do that as well. So, kill my crops. No. Okay, so that's what I thought. If it gets to the later stages, though, you can kill your crops without wider or the narrow tires. Even the narrow tires, I'm sure, probably kills some of them, but maybe just less. I honestly don't know. I haven't really used the narrow tires that much other than some of the contracts that come up. But we're going to go ahead and see if I can figure out how to turn this thing on. Turn on fertilizer. Oh, not like that. A little too soon. But I wanted to make sure I had the right button. But as you can see, this thing has pretty big range. It does have a big range, but I think I am missing that edge over there. Let's come up through here. And if we have to, we'll just use a little bit to get over that edge. Again, we're using very little fertilizer when it's all said and done. So it's... Wrong button. There we go. So used to the keyboard commands. It'll be alright. It'll all be alright. Technically turned that on a little too soon, but that's okay. Run up here, get all this stuff fertilized, see if we can get as much yield out of this crop as possible. Technically, I think this field needs plowing. All the fields that we have currently need plowing. So the yield is going to be a little bit limited from that standpoint, as much as anything. But, you know, that's okay. We'll have to deal with plowing once we get past this first crop. Obviously, it's very important to drive straight as you can. And these tractors must have a really good alignment, you know, for the guys for people that actually, you know, do this on a regular basis to be able to drive as straight as possible. All right, let's check the... Oh, it's not even going to show fertilized because it needs plowing, huh? Really? So I hadn't seen that yet. I think different times when you start this game, it seems like it starts these in different states. Because I've actually had some where these were ready to harvest, like when I started them a couple different times. So I expect I hadn't had one set up yet where it, you know, needs the plowing stuff like that at the same time as it, you know, wanted to do fertilization. So it doesn't look like the fertilization is not helping at all. All right, then we won't do any more. No big deal. But I'm not unhappy that we bought this, or leased this, if you will, because we will use the fertilization at some point. But we're just going to come over here. Come over here to the side. We're just going to drop our little fertilizer thing here. Let's see. Lower fertilizer. And then... Where's detach? Detach A. Cool. Still happy that we got the tractor. I'm okay with getting the fertilizer. It was worth a shot. I guess I could have done a smaller path and then checked. A couple things that we need now then. Actually, before we do anything, we're going to put a cut in here. So we tried fertilizing and it failed. Apologies for that. But we will keep doing some of the stuff that we want to do with this game. And when we come back, we'll figure out what we want to do with, you know, we'll eventually get a plow for that field in front of us. And obviously, all of these fields, I think, probably need plowing once we're all said and done. It does look like we need lime for this field over here in the corner, the canola one. But we probably need to get a harvester soon-ish. We're not quite there yet. We still got a little bit of growing to do. I wonder if these things need weeds before. Let me go check. Weeds would show purple if they needed weeds. Actually, let's get out of the thing and let's run over there and see what it says. Anything weed related? Nope. Weed 0%, fertilizer 0%. What about you? Walking through stuff does not seem to, you know, destroy anything. So, that one definitely says needs lime. Ah, this one does say fertilized. So the fertilization did did take. It's just not showing up because it also needs plowing and it also needs lime. So we definitely will have to get some lime at some point. Maybe it was already fertilized and it just needs plowing. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. All right. I do appreciate you watching. Hopefully you join me again next time. I'm kind of having a lot of fun with this game. Like I said, I've already played several hours. But we're going to try and learn some more together. I do appreciate it. Thank you and goodbye.